You got to be working with them. As far as I'm concerned, Roc Nation is run by government. You know what I'm saying? Why would people think the government don't run businesses? You don't think by right now that they got a major rapper that's a snitch, that's an
Oh, yeah.
informant?
And it's a lot of rappers behind the scene that want to talk about it and they're scared. But sweetheart, I'm not scared. I'm legendary in these streets. You know how many artists I've spoken to behind the scenes that are too afraid to speak up?
So we'll speak. We'll speak, y'all.
I'm gonna speak because y'all can't touch me. I am completely protected. I am protected by God. Y'all don't see that by now?
Nicki Minaj just shook the whole internet with some explosive claims. She's out here saying Roc Nation isn't just managing artists, they're running a whole setup operation aimed at rappers. And she's naming names, Jay-Z and Desiree Perez. Now Desiree ain't just some big shot exec. She's a convicted felon who turned government informant. Yeah, you read that right. Nicki ain't just ranting either. She's laying out connections like puzzle pieces. That's why Nicki's going all in, no filters, no fear. So what did she actually post? Nicki dropped a screenshot showing what she claims is proof that Roc Nation, along with Desiree, was working with federal agents. According to her, they've been watching artists closely, using their legal problems to manipulate them behind the scenes like puppets on strings. The document Nicki shared doesn't just hint at it. It flat out names Desiree Perez as a confidential informant working with federal law enforcement. And no,
prevent me from making wrong.
The incident started on March 27th of last year.
So legally, I can't go home.
No, you cannot.
Why?
Demore Hadley says she was lured to that parking lot by someone posing as a potential client for the landscaping company she runs with her then boyfriend, now husband.
She said her mom didn't just play dirty. She went full-blown cartel with it. Once she told Desiree she wasn't leaving her husband, that's when things got real grimy.
No, this isn't some sketchy message or gossip post. This came straight from a lawsuit filed by Desiree's own daughter, Dare Hadley. In those court documents, Dare accuses her mother of having her locked in a mental institution with zero medical justification, and she didn't stop at paperwork. Dare even dropped body cam footage showing the exact moment she was taken away. Real footage, not some rumor or made-up story. She says it was all part of her mother's plan. And why would Desiree allegedly go this far? According to Dare's lawsuit, Desiree tried to destroy her daughter's marriage to Javon Hadley. Dare says her mom used her power and money to rip them apart. And when Dare refused to walk away, Desiree allegedly threatened to use the Baker Act to silence her. This whole situation is wild. And if what Nicki's claiming is true, then it's not just drama. It's a massive power play that could affect the entire rap game. That's Florida's infamous Baker Act, a law that lets police or doctors lock someone up for 72 hours if they're seen as a mental health threat. But what Dare Hadley's claiming takes it to a whole new level. She says her own mother, Desiree Perez, didn't use it out of concern. She used it as a weapon. Why? Because Dare's husband, Javon, is black. Yeah, she really said that in court filings. Dare alleges her mother straight up disapproved of her marriage because of race and used her status and influence to rip it apart. That's right, Desiree Perez, the very woman Jay-Z handpicked to run Roc Nation, is being accused of outright racism by her own daughter. According to Dare's lawsuit, Desiree pulled her aside and said, "I'm going to Baker Act you. If you stay with that N-word, I will have you committed." That's not social media gossip, that's in the actual legal documents. And Dare didn't just talk, she came armed with receipts. She dropped medical records proving she was totally sober and in good mental health at the time she was thrown into that facility. No erratic behavior.
Earlier this month, officers arrived at Minaj's home around 6 p.m. to investigate a report that Nicki's 3-year-old son was being abused. After examining the toddler, officers determined he was safe and they left, but another call was made in the early morning hours, and around 3 a.m. Minaj and her family were awakened after a fire was reported at her home. Firefighters arrived and found no flames. Swatting is a term used by law enforcement officials used to describe an act of making a false report in order to get a response from police that can involve an armed SWAT team.
No breakdown, nothing to justify what happened. She wasn't spiraling, she was calm, collected, and in control. She blasted the evidence on X, screenshot after screenshot of lab tests, clean reports, and records from 3 different clinics. She even posted a hair follicle test covering 3 months, proving she had no substances in her system. Her caption called out the fake blogs, bot accounts, and sketchy gossip pages trying to twist her story. She wrote, "I got blood tests, urine screens from 3 separate labs, and even a hair follicle test that covers over 3 months. I've got over 10 years of clean primary care records." Now here's where it links back to Nicki Minaj. Nicki's been trying to expose Desiree Perez and Jay-Z for a while, but people weren't listening. They called her dramatic, said she was reaching. But turns out she might have been ahead of the curve. Remember when Nicki and Megan Thee Stallion were dropping diss tracks? That's when Nicki warned she was about to air out some serious skeletons in Roc Nation's closet. She hinted that Desiree had quietly fired tons of staff without explanation, and it wasn't just business. Nicki posted lyrics promising to reveal how Desiree axed people for unknown reasons. Behind the scenes, those staffers were allegedly let go just for siding with Nicki. Nicki claimed the employees were confused and devastated. No heads up, no reason, just gone. And when she said she's willing to go broke to try to replace me, fix it, Jesus, she wasn't joking. The beef was deep. Now Dare is backing that story up, and not just with words. She says the same power games Desiree played on her, she also pulled on Nicki. She even claimed Roc Nation targeted her entire family, her husband, and even her child got dragged into the drama. Dare said what Nicki went through felt way too familiar. She compared Nicki's alleged industry sabotage to her own experience with being forcibly committed. According to Dare, Roc Nation and Desiree aren't just music bosses. They're dangerous and operating in the shadows, using legal tools and connections to keep control. In a shocking interview, Dare called Desiree's moves deep and dirty. And when Nicki saw the lawsuit and Dare's interviews, she unleashed. On X, Nicki posted a fiery message to the public and especially to those who doubted her. She wrote, "To the PMs who claim it wasn't made clear to your ugly asses, hopefully Dare's massive and detailed page-by-page claim gets you all the way caught up. And, never call me a liar. Never insinuated either. Every single angel ever created fights for me at the mere mention of that word as it relates to me. Vengeance is the Lord's. Be careful. No one who conspired on the wrong side will go unpunished for the role they played in this movie. I hope it was all worth it." Nicki then confirmed what everyone was wondering. She said Roc Nation really tried to go after her husband and her child. She warned that powerful people are still out here trying to break families apart just to protect their empire. While Nicki Minaj was out in public raising red flags about Roc Nation and teasing at some serious chaos going on behind the scenes, everything around her started going sideways. Around that same time, Desiree Perez's own daughter came forward saying Roc Nation is willing to destroy anyone who doesn't play by their rules, and suddenly Nicki's getting swatted, her family being dragged through the mud. Nah, that's not just bad luck, that's a message being sent. At this point, it's hard to call it coincidence. The pieces are lining up too perfectly. Let's not forget, Desiree Perez has a history that raises more than a few eyebrows. Nicki believes the second she opened her mouth about the stuff no one else dared to speak on, she became a target. To Nicki, Roc Nation isn't just a music label, it's the front for something way more serious. She says it's being used to control artists behind closed doors, keeping tabs and pulling strings. And right in the center of it all, Desiree Perez, a woman with a real criminal past, who later flipped and became a federal informant. An investigative thread on X by the account Resist Programming laid everything out. Back in 1994, Desiree Perez got arrested. This wasn't gossip, it was in court records that even the New York Daily News reviewed. She got hit with federal charges tied to a massive drug operation stretching across New York, Florida, and Puerto Rico. And guess what? She wasn't alone. Her husband, Juan O.G. Perez, was reportedly involved too. And Juan ain't some random street guy. He's tight with Jay-Z. We're talking day one loyalty. They co-founded the 40/40 Club together in the 90s, and years later, Jay-Z put Juan in charge as president of Roc Nation Sports. Their families still ride close to this day. So if Desiree got tangled up in a federal drug case that heavy, what really went down after those charges hit? Here's where it gets sketchy. Desiree managed to dodge serious prison time by flipping. She agreed to cooperate with the feds, got 5 years probation, and according to reports, wore a wire to help them build cases against others. A 2014 article in the New York Daily News called her a star informant. Yeah, you heard that right, star. The feds were apparently so impressed with her help, they practically gave her a gold star for snitching. The same article painted her as a Manhattan club manager with a long rap sheet and deep ties to Jay-Z. It even mentioned she once became a fugitive before reappearing to work with law enforcement. Eventually, Desiree got a presidential pardon, but according to Nicki, that didn't mean her informant days were done. Nicki's been saying loud and clear, Desiree and Jay-Z are both still working from the shadows. She claims Roc Nation isn't just managing talent, it's acting like a surveillance hub, monitoring hip-hop from the inside out. So who's on their alleged hit list? According to Nicki, and a flood of speculation online, the clearest example is Tory Lanez. Tory got convicted in December 2022 in that explosive case with Megan Thee Stallion. And Roc Nation, they were representing Megan during that whole legal battle. People started connecting dots, saying Roc Nation had more involvement than they let on. With everything Nicki's been saying, Tory's case looks less like a closed chapter and more like part of a bigger picture, one where Roc Nation might be flexing quiet power behind the scenes. All of this, it's got folks looking twice. That partnership didn't just make headlines, it painted a huge target on their backs. And then there's Casanova, another artist who had connections to Roc Nation. Suddenly he's hit with serious federal RICO charges too. His case only added more weight to the growing theory. If you go against the wrong people, your freedom might be on the line. The timing of Casanova's case was just too perfect to ignore. He had just started questioning some of Roc Nation's behind-the-scenes dealings, and right after that, boom, the feds came knocking. And the way everything played out, it mirrored what folks are starting to call a pattern. Nicki's been yelling from the rooftops for a while now, saying Roc Nation uses contracts like traps, lock the artist in, control their every move, and if they dare push back, they get tossed aside, or worse, caught up in legal madness. But get this, Nicki says she's holding on to even more names, and it's not just rappers on the list. We're talking about managers, industry execs, legal insiders, even media folks who might have helped cover this all up. According to Nicki, the rabbit hole runs deep, and if she decides to go full blast and expose everything, we could be watching the total meltdown of Roc Nation right before our eyes. This isn't just music industry beef anymore. It's turning into a major unraveling of power, influence, and silence. So if you've been following this wild ride, stay locked in, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on those notifications because this story, it's far from over.